Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group number 8. Today we will discuss about productivity part 2. Last week, group before has been discussed about productivity part 1. So in this video, we will discuss about productivity part 2. In productivity part 2, we have 6 material that we will discuss in this video. They are verb vocabulary strata, productivity and lection, processing restrictions, synonym blocking, productivity and analogy, and the last measuring productivity. Okay, before that, I would like to introduce our group. My name is Mela Restiani and my partner Witarianda Putri. Okay, the first explanations is about verb vocabulary strata will be explained by myself. Okay. In some languages, a large part of the lections consists of loan words from another language that is or traditionally has been well known to many speakers, at least in some influential sections of the populations. These loan words usually include many morphologically complex words. If an isolated complex word is borrowed into another language, its morphological structures inevitably gets lost. But when a language borrows many morphologically complex words from the same language, their morphological structures may be preserved, and their pattern may become productive in the target language. Okay. And then there are 3 kinds of verb vocabulary. Okay, the first is Japanese verb plus noun compounds borrowed from Chinese. And then number 2, language of India have borrowed heavily from the classical language Sanskrit and thus have many derived lexemes of Sanskrit origin. And thus, English has borrowed particularly extensively from Latin, and suffix like if, ive, it, ity, os, ous, and adjectival al mostly restricts to base of Latin origin. And then I would like to make an example of Japanese verb plus noun compounds borrowed from Chinese. Okay, for example, dokusho. Doku is verb from Japan and sho is noun from Chinese. If dokusho is combined is dokusho, it means reading a book. Okay. And then kyushui. Kyu is verb from Japan and shui is noun from Chinese. And if Q shui is combined, it means supplying water. Okay. And then satu zin. Satu is verb from Japan and zin is noun from Chinese. And if satu zin is combined, it means killing a man. And last, no z. No is verb from Japan and z is noun from Chinese. If no z is combined, it means paying a tax. Okay. And then languages of India have borrowed heavily from the classical language Sanskrit and thus have many derived lexemes of Sanskrit origin. For example, kachita, it means certain. If kachita a suffix ate, kachitate, it means certainty. And then badra, it means safe. If badra suffix ate, badrate, it means safety. And the last gana, it means weighty. If gana suffix ate, it means dignity. And thus, English has borrowed particularly extensively from Latin, and suffix like if, ive, it, ity, os, ous, and adjectival al are mostly restricted to bases of Latin origin. For example, egg, suffix if, ive, and fic, suffix I've becoming fictive. And then brutal, suffix ity, becoming brutality, and then brittle, suffix ity, it's becoming brutality. And last, a monster, suffix ous, becoming monstrous, and then spinsters, suffix ous, becoming spinstrous. The second material is about productivity and election. However, one hypothesis is that the productivity of a rule depends in large part on how the word that exemplify it are structured in the election. This also helps explain why productivity is more important to morphology than to syntax. But morphological and syntax rules have restrictions, but only morphological and only morphological structures is closely tied to the elections. The main ways in which the election is argued to influence morphological productivity are reviewed in this section. And the last material is about processing restriction. Processing restriction is growing evidence that productivity is tied to how words are mentally processed, specifically the extent to which complex words are stored in the lexion. However, an affix that occurs mostly in words stored in the lexions will have relatively weak memory strength because mentally accessing a stored complex word bypasses that lexical entry for the affix. The relationships between processing and productivity in other languages remains to be investigated, but this kind of processing constraints may help explain along notes but imperfect correlations between semantic and phonological regularity of word created by a rule and that rule's productivity. I think enough. That's all about my explanation. And then the next explanations is about synonym blocking. Will be explained by my partner Utarianda Putri. And I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Utari. I will continue the explanation from Mela about synonym blocking, productivity and analogy, and measuring productivity. Synonym blocking. Very often, an otherwise productive derivational rule doesn't apply because it's preempted by existing word that has the meaning of the potential neologism. For example, the verb to broom doesn't exist because the verb to sweep exists instead, which means the same that there is synonym blocking or just blocking for short under such circumstances. Apparently, languages prefer not to have several words that mean exactly the same. A puzzling fact about blocking is that it has many exceptions. For instance, English has synonyms pairs like piety or piousness, curiosity or curiousness, accuracy or accurateness, and etc. The frequency effect on blocking strength can also be observed when a productive quality noun rule competes with unproductive quality noun formations. In German, the suffix "hes" or "nes" has all monosyllabic adjective in its domain, but it is blocked when a different quality noun is available. A rich, richness. From rich is blocked by richtum, well, which which uses the productive suffix tum. The explanation for the frequency effect on blocking strength is that frequent words have greater memory strength and are therefore retrieved faster from memory than rare words. Blocking thus represents both a semantic restriction on productivity, the desire of the language not to have two words with identical meaning, and also a constraint imposed by the lexicon. Word with stranger representation in the lexicon create stranger blocking effects because they are more easily accessed. And next, productivity and analogy. An analogical chain is say occur when speakers form a new word on the model of or by analogy with another word. For instance, the English verb fling used to have a past tense form with the suffix ed, flinked, but at some point but at some point the past tense from flung was created clearly on the model of words like sting or stung. Analogical extension also occur is derivational morphology. For instance, on the model of pairs of French loanwords such as changeable adjectives is able were formed from native English words. The term analogical chain emphasizes a diachronic outcome, whereas the term analogical chain emphasizes a diachronic outcome, whereas the term productivity emphasizes synchronic structure. But the solution of an analogical equation is in practical terms the same as the application of a productive word-based rule to a novel lessons. Moreover, the analogical perspective highlights that productivity is directly tied to words in the lexicon, because these words have determined the strength of the pattern as a model for analogical extension. And then, measuring productivity. In syntax, acceptability judgments are widely taken to be a direct reflection of speaker's competence and are used to distinguish possible and impossible sentences. Various measures of productivity have been proposed, but it turns out that they measure rather different things. One, the number of actual words formed according to a certain pattern. Also called degree of generalization, profitability of a pattern or type frequency. 2. The number of possible words that can be formed according to a certain pattern. 3. The ratio of actual word to possible word, also called the degree of exhaustion. 4. The number of neologisms estate for over a certain period of time, also called diachronic productivity. And the last, the ratio of hapax legomena with a given pattern to total token frequency of word with that pattern. Okay, I think enough, and I say thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.